Hello, BookTube. I've got a miscellaneous batch of books to show you, and I don't really need any more reason than that to turn on the camera. Now do I? They're all new. Most of them are new in paperback, and by new I think I mean probably early February. So you will still have time. You'll be seeing them soon in your bookstores. First one is it's a Penguin reprint. It's got a crappy TV adaptation cover because it's being adapted into a series, and it's a book. I hate to say this because, of course, the original cover was pretty. The blurry studio still for the adaptation cover is ugly, but even so, this is a book that everybody likes but me, or at least, yeah, I'm sure you know that kind of a book where you feel like everybody likes it but you. I'm sure there are people who don't like it, but it seems to me that I encountered just an oncoming tsunami of universal praise, and I read it with the best of intentions, and I just didn't see what all the fuss was about. It's Deborah Harkness's debut, A Discovery of Witches, which is now being made into a TV show, an original series on Sundance Now and Shudder, which I guess are two TV networks. Those are two of our main characters. They don't look happy to be on the cover, and I don't blame them because it's a hideous cover. This is book one of her All Souls trilogy, and I know when this came out, no one could say a bad word about it, and I read it, and it seemed labored to me. But now I've got this Penguin paperback, so I will give it another try. Then the other three paperbacks that I want to show you are all rereads like Discovery of Witches, only I love them all. So I just thought I'd show them to you. The first one is by Brian Kastner, and it is Disappointment River, which will now be in paperback, in which the author gets in his canoe and follows in the footsteps of Alexander Mackenzie along the river that he called Disappointment, encountering an eerie parallels to a lot of Mackenzie's adventures. Of course, some aspects of big river travel don't ever change. You are mobbed by bugs, for instance. You are eaten alive by mosquitoes. And there are bears. And there's also the river to deal with in all of its moods, and portage, and all sorts of negotiations with shelter and whatnot. But also the Kastner covers the whole modern world that has developed around this trip along the same route that Mackenzie took. And one of the things I loved about this book, I think a lot of people loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And one of the things I loved about it is what a wonderful job it does telling Mackenzie's story. I mean, the selling point of the manuscript, I bet, in whatever elevator, wherever it happened, was the contemporary bit. I will get in a canoe. I, a modern man, will get in a canoe and follow and see how things have changed. But one of the strong points of the book is something, halfway through the book, I was pining, predictably enough, for the author to just tell the history of Mackenzie and leave out the contemporary stuff, although the contemporary stuff's very good. I read this when I got an advance copy, and then I read the finished copy, and this will be my final read. I will read it again in paperback, absorb all the stuff that I liked, that I know is coming now, and also see what jumps out at me that maybe I didn't notice the first two times. And then, as is usually my way, I will let it go until 3 or 4 years from now, 5 years from now, when I find a copy of the hardcover at a used bookstore or something, and like The House That Ruth Built, and I think, maybe I'll give that another try. It's been a long time. But in the normal course of things, that's the most that I will do. I will read a book quickly and for first impressions in the advance copy. Then I will hunker down with it and read it with complete attention in the finished copy. I've had a couple of authors over the decades say, it's that read that frightens me. And I'm okay with you reading my ARC. It's you hunkering down with my book that frightens me, because that's when you're going to notice that I got something wrong. And you're not going to be caring as much about the intoxication of first impressions. And that's true, but you'd have to hope that your book would survive that kind of scrutiny. I certainly would. And then the third time, there isn't anything like that. The third time I don't read it critically. But I can't not read it critically because I've already done that. So it's the third time, sometimes I've noticed, is often the most enjoyable of the three reads. And then I let it go. Then I figure I've done my duty by the book. And the same thing is true with this next one. This is by Chandler Clang Smith. The Sky is Yours. This is coming out in paperback. This was just a terrific dystopian sci-fi fantasy mishmash about a decrepit extreme future or extreme past city that reminded me a lot of M. John Harrison, that is sort of haunted by enormous dragons that circle overhead forever. The whole society has been built around that idea, and you would think that that would drive the whole story, and it does. But for me, the main thing here was the core group of characters that the author creates. They each have their own way of speaking. They each have their own sound. It's very rare in contemporary fiction that an author will bother to notice that all their characters sound the same. This is not one of those books. This is it was an absolute delight. If I remember correctly, this has a nice open letters blurb, and if I remember correctly, this also made my list, my Steve Reads list for the best science fiction fantasy of the year. I'll have to check. If it did, I'll leave a link down below. But it's enormously inventive, and this is not a case where I read the advanced copy first. I read the finished copy only, so this will be my second time through here, and I'm sure there's a lot that I missed, so I can't wait. This next one is also a paperback release, and it's weird. It's weird. The publisher chose to change the cover. I almost never praise American covers of books, and this one had a wonderful cover, and I've seen so many bad American book covers that just automatically, as a matter of course, get reproduced for the paperbacks. And here I come across, in hardcover, an American cover that's actually wonderful, and they changed it to something that I think is entirely more boring. This is Paula McLean, and this is Love and Ruin. This is what the paperback of Love and Ruin is going to look like. I don't think I even have a picture of what it looks like, what it looked like in hardcover, but it was lovely. It was two young people in a boat. It's Martha Gellhorn. It's the story of Ernest Hemingway's, one of Ernest Hemingway's wives, the great Martha Gellhorn, her own story. And I thought it was absolutely fantastic. This is the author of The Paris Wife, and I thought this book was 2 or 3 times better than that. The Paris Wife is an extremely good historical novel, but I thought this was just effortlessly better. So involving, so incredibly involving. You really didn't need much. I remember thinking about 50 or 60 pages in that if this is the energy with which this author writes about Martha Gellhorn, she doesn't even need to leave the house. I don't need her to go to the Spanish Civil War or to meet and wrestle with Hemingway. I don't need her to do any of those things. It was fantastic from the first page, and I've read it twice. And again, this will be a case where I will read the paperback to sort of say goodbye to it. I'll read the paperback to soak up all the stuff I liked, maybe catch some stuff that I didn't catch before, maybe like some different things. It's a lighter feeling reading it this third time, because I know when I'm reading it this third time that I'm not going to be accountable to you. I'm not going to be accountable to any audience. I'm the ARC, the advanced copy, I tend to read for impressions, for initial reactions, the kinds of things that are important to note as a reader, and that a lot of critics allow to scab over so that they don't have that anymore, because all they do is read. So they let that harden over. That's a mistake. That's a misservice to your readers to do that. You should make sure that stays fresh, because that's part of the reading experience. For a lot of readers, that's the only part of the reading experience. So I read the ARC, I read the advanced copy for that, and then I let it sit and mull a bit, and then I read the finished copy for keeps, for real. I read every finished copy as if I am on the hook for 800 words. I'm not for most of them, but still, quite a few of them I am, and I read everyone that way. I read it as if I am going to assess it for an audience forever. That's a big thing. I read with a pencil in hand. I take exorbitant care not to miss anything, to capture everything, and then to figure out what I think about it, what it does right, what it does wrong, what it does in comparison or in contrast to all of its brethren along the same lines. But none of that is present in the third book, because you can't recapture your first impression read, so that's out the window anyway. But also that accountability to an audience, to the ages, to an editor, that's all gone with the third read as well. The third read is much closer, I think, to just pure affection or pure irritation in the rare instances where I would reread for the third time a book that I didn't like. But in this case, I love the book, so this is going to be a pure pleasure to just reread it. And then the last one that we'll do is not a paperback, and it is not a reread. And I didn't get an advance copy. This is a fresh book, but it sounds really good. It sounds really, really good. I wonder if I have the plot description. Okay, no. All right. This is by James Brabazon. And I have the pub sheet here, and ordinarily what I would do is hold up the book and read the pub sheet. But this is an instance where this comes out in late January, and the breakdown on the pub sheet is considerably worse than the breakdown on the Dust Jacket. The breakdown on the Dust Jacket is what prompted me to pick this up and read it. I'll be reading this tonight or tomorrow. This is a Max McLean novel. It's called The Breakline. Kind of an effective cover. And I'm not going to read you the pub sheet because the pub sheet doesn't do it quite the job that the Dust Jacket does. Let me read you the Dust Jacket. When it comes to killing terrorists, British intelligence has always had one man they could rely on, Max McLean. As an assassin, he has never missed, but Max has made one miscalculation, and now he needs to pay the price. His handlers have a special mission for him. Something is happening in Sierra Leone. Rebel forces are loose in the jungle, and someone or something is slaughtering innocent villagers. They already sent one operative, the toughest man they have. Whatever he found has left him a broken remnant of who he once was. Now it's McLean's turn. What he finds is a horror from beyond his nightmares. It's his job to root out the monster behind these abominations, but he soon discovers that London may consider him the most expendable piece in this operation, which is a template that we have seen, right? Where you have a disgraced agent who may or may not be a danger to his handlers. He gets a mission. He's told this is your way to redeem your name, when it turns out this is a familiar gimmick in thrillers. It turns out that the reason that the agent has been given the mission is because his handlers don't really care whether he survives. That's how much of a danger he is to them. And I love that gimmick. That is, if memory serves, that is the gimmick for The Man with the Golden Arm, The Man with the Golden Gun, the James Bond novel, right? Did I have that right? Yeah, The Man with the Golden Gun, Ian Fleming. I think that's pretty much where the gimmick started, where the operative is given a mission that has chewed up and spat out other operatives specifically because his handlers don't care if it chews up and spits him out. And so the operative, two-thirds of the way in, suddenly has to fight everybody on all sides in order to survive and win redemption, that sort of thing. And I'm curious to know what the hint of a monster is, because there's no way possible this is Berkeley. There's no way possible that the end result will in fact be supernatural. So I'm thinking more of a Dr. Moreau type thing is probably going on in the jungles of Sierra Leone. But one way or another, this is due right away, so I will read this right away and find out. I'm loving the steady diet of thrillers that 2019 is throwing my way. Absolutely loving it. Feel like a kid in a candy store. So that's just a random book pile for you. We've got The Breakline, a Max McLean novel. I've never read any other Max McLean novels to the best of my recollection, so this will be my introduction to the character. Then Love and Ruin by Paula McLean, her Martha Gellhorn novel. Just a total recommend, even if you have to. I mean, that is kind of a pretty cover, but it doesn't do justice to the passion of the book at all. Then The Sky Is Yours, modern science fiction, very good science fiction. Then Disappointment River, those of you who are outdoorsy or who like your trailblazing history, your Lewis and Clark era history, don't miss it. The book is covered in blurbs of praise from all and sundry, and they are deserved, so don't miss it. And then the last one, I will give it another try. It's certainly covered in praise. A Discovery of Witches. I don't know. I still feel like I let the book down, and I hate that feeling. If usually what I like is that if I get a critical darling in my clutches, something that everybody else has loved, and I don't like it, I'm usually very content to say everybody else is wrong. and the reason that I'm content to do it is because I go at it critically, and I say, all right, well, I finished this and everybody loves it and I don't, but I have 16 carefully thought out reasons why I don't like it. I won't make it, as odious business managers say, the hill to die on, mainly because I don't want to discount the enjoyment of other people in liking these things. It's the only time that I ever make it a hill to die on and get really irritated is when the book starts to be venerated, not just loved. Then, no, no, then I will list my 16 points and I will list them ad nauseum. But this thing is just beloved. Just totally beloved. And that makes me feel like I have disappointed the book rather than vice versa. I feel like there's some wavelength on which I can truly love this book that I just didn't get before. So I will try it again. So this is kind of a mixed bag. I've got at the bottom of the pile here, I've got a book I've never read before, but that I'm predisposed to like thrillers. This author would have to make a couple of fundamental thriller mistakes to put me off the scent. And then I've got a bunch of books that three books that I really liked. I'd be happy to read them one last time. And then A Discovery of Witches, which I didn't like it as much as everybody else does, so I will give it a try. Any advice you can give me along those lines would be much appreciated. But anyway, that's just a random book thing. I didn't think you had enough book talk from me. But I'll wrap up for now, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.